This meeting of the Milwaukee Board of School Directors will please come to order. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Director Ferguson.
Present.
Director Garcia.
Present.
Director Gandhi.
Present.
Director Jackson.
Present.
Director Leonard.
Present.
Director O'Halloran.
Here.
Director Simpson.
Present.
Director Zomber.
Present.
And President Herndon.
Present.
That's 9 present. We have a quorum.
The chair will now ask the secretary to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. The chair invites any members of the audience who wish to participate to do so, and asks that those who do not wish to participate please remain silent during the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We acknowledge that Milwaukee lies on traditional Menominee, Potawatomi, and Ho-Chunk homeland along the southwest shores of Lake Michigan, part of North America's largest system of freshwater lakes. On this site, the Milwaukee, Menominee, and Kinnickinnic rivers meet, and the people of Wisconsin's Menominee, Ojibwa, Ho-Chunk, Oneida, and Mohegan sovereign nations remain present to this day. This meeting is being conducted in person from the Central Services Building. This meeting is also being broadcast on WYMS Radio, 88.9 FM, and via live stream on the MPS website and on the MPS YouTube stream, the links to which may be found on the MPS website on the broadcast page. Before we begin tonight's meeting, we have a short announcement regarding interpretation services for the Spanish-speaking members of our audience.
Buenas tardes y bienvenidos a la Junta de la Mesa Directiva de las Escuelas Públicas de Milwaukee. Si desea escuchar esta reunión en español, por favor llame al 312-626-6799 e introduzca el número de reunión 832-0725-4267, seguido por el símbolo de número. Luego, introduzca el código 883149, seguido por el símbolo de número. Nuevamente, para escuchar esta reunión en español, llame al 312-626-6799 e introduzca el número de reunión 832-0725-4267, seguido por el símbolo de número. Luego, introduzca el código 883149, seguido por el símbolo de número.
Before we move to our agenda, the chair will ask that we share in a moment of silence to commemorate the passing of the following member of the MPS community. DeQuell Collins, a first grade student at Westside Academy. Olanja Ray Waju Dopia Mo, a permit teacher at Madison Academic Campus. Elizabeth Johnny, a district teacher. Doris Kirkwood, a teacher at McDowell Montessori High School. Anthony Novak, a 9th grade student at Audubon Technology and Communication Center School. Jakari Perkins, a 12th grade student at Green Tree Preparatory. Katie Porter, a teacher at Milwaukee Parkside School. Daniel Waraksa, School Engineer 2 at La Escuela Fraternity School. Linda Warren, a teacher from Lincoln Center of the Arts Middle School. The board also wishes to recognize the passing of Michelle Butts, a passionate advocate for Montessori education, who was instrumental in establishing and developing the Montessori program within Milwaukee Public Schools. If we could have a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Pursuant to Board Rule 1.09, regular items of business, the board will give public hearing on the items of regular business listed on this notice. These are the only items for which the board will accept public comment. Individuals who wish to speak should fill out a speaker slip and bring it to the board clerk. Please direct any questions to the chair, who will determine the most efficient way to address them. To ensure decorum during the meeting, harassment or intimidation tactics of any kind will not be tolerated. Anyone who disrupts the good order of the meeting will immediately be asked to cease. If disruptive behavior continues, a recess will be called and the offending parties will be removed from the meeting. Anyone ejected from the meeting will not be allowed to rejoin the meeting. However, they may listen to the meeting or access the agenda items online. Finally, on behalf of the board, the chair sincerely thanks everyone participating this evening. Your engagement is vital as we work together to move our schools forward and make decisions that will benefit our students and community. Now let us begin. Madam Secretary, what is our first item of business?
Madam President, the first item is the awards and commendations. We have 3 items. I'll go ahead. The first commendation is action on the waiver of Board Rule 1.10, Parent 1, and adoption of a proclamation in honor of Jilly Gokul Gandhi, departing member of the Milwaukee Board of School Directors, for her years of service to the Milwaukee Public Schools. The recommendation is the board waive Board Rule 1.10, Parent 1, and adopt the attached proclamation in recognition and appreciation of Director Jilly Gokul Gandhi and her service to the Milwaukee Public Schools and to the citizens of Milwaukee.
At this time, the chair will accept a motion to waive Board Rule 1.10, and adopt the attached proclamation in recognition and appreciation of Jilly Gokul Gandhi and her service to Milwaukee Public Schools and to the citizens of Milwaukee. May I have that motion, please? Director O'Halloran.
Thank you. I move that we waive Board Rule 1.101 and adopt the attached proclamation in recognition and appreciation of Director Jilly Gokul Gandhi and her service to the Milwaukee Public Schools and to the citizens of Milwaukee.
Thank you. Is there a second? Director Simpson?
I'll second the motion.
If there's no discussion, the secretary will please call the roll.
On Director O'Halloran's motion to waive Board Rule 1.10, Parent 1, and adopt the attached proclamation in recognition and appreciation of Director Jilly Gokul Gandhi and her service to the Milwaukee Public Schools and to the citizens of Milwaukee, Director Ferguson?
Aye.
Director Garcia?
Aye.
Director Gokul Gandhi?
Aye.
Director Jackson?
Aye.
Director Leonard?
Aye.
Director O'Halloran?
Aye.
Director Simpson?
Aye.
Director Zomber?
Aye.
And President Hernan.
Aye.
That is 9 ayes. The motion passes. Congratulations.
Madam Secretary, please read the proclamation.
Board of School Directors Proclamation, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Whereas Jilly Gokul Gandhi was first elected to the 5th District seat on the Milwaukee Board of School Directors in April of 2021, becoming the first South Asian woman to be elected to the board. And whereas Jilly Gokul Gandhi served as Vice President of the board for the 2023-2024 and 24-25 board years, and whereas Jilly Gokul Gandhi served as Chair of the Strategic Planning and Budget Committee for the 22-23, 23-24, and 24-25 board years, leading the charge to develop the 2023-28 strategic plan. And whereas Jilly Gokul Gandhi recognized that mental health complexities, particularly those stemming from workplace stressors, can have a significant impact on employees, and sponsored a resolution calling for paid time off for mental health to help cultivate a culture where the well-being of employees is central to district employment practices. And whereas Jilly Gokul Gandhi promoted the development of statewide educational curriculum and professional development centered around teaching the history, culture, and contributions of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders to the economic, cultural, and social development of Wisconsin and the nation by sponsoring a resolution to the delegation of the Wisconsin Association of School Boards. And whereas Jilly Gokul Gandhi supported the work of community schools and sponsored a resolution to develop an administrative policy to guide the current work of community schools and to promote their expansion. And whereas Jilly Gokul Gandhi worked thoughtfully with her colleagues to choose the next superintendent of schools in 2025, and whereas Jilly Gokul Gandhi advanced a resolution calling for a review of gender-inclusive policies and co-sponsored a resolution to pilot a program to provide free menstrual products for school bathrooms, both with the goal of ensuring that the district upholds the MPS vision that schools will be safe, welcoming, well-maintained, and accessible community centers, meeting the needs of all. Now, therefore, be it resolved that on this occasion of her retirement from the board, the Milwaukee Board of School Directors extend its sincere appreciation to Jilly Gokul Gandhi for her years of dedicated service to the Milwaukee Public Schools, to its students, and to the public. And be it further resolved that this resolution be spread upon the permanent proceedings of the Board of School Directors, and that the board instruct the board clerk to have an engrossed copy of this document, suitably signed and sealed, prepared and delivered to Jilly Gokul Gandhi in tribute to her record of dedicated public service to the citizens of Milwaukee and to the children of Milwaukee Public Schools. Adopted the 17th day of April, 2025.
In addition to the proclamation by the board, the superintendent wishes to present Director Gokul Gandhi a piece of student artwork in appreciation of her service to the children of the Milwaukee Public Schools. At this time, will Director Gokul Gandhi please join the superintendent and the chair at the front of the stage to receive her proclamation and artwork.
They are walking to the front of the stage to receive Director Gokul Gandhi's proclamation and piece of student artwork. Congratulations, Director Gokul Gandhi. They're just taking a photo now of Director Gokul Gandhi getting her artwork and her proclamation. One more photo here. We're talking through the airtime. And Director Gokul Gandhi, would you like to make some remarks? All right. Thank you. Director Gokul Gandhi is walking back to her seat and would like to make some remarks. And yeah, you can go back to your seat, President Herndon.
Thank you so much. That was meaningful, and sometimes you forget how much work you do over 4 years. As I step away from my role on the board of Wisconsin's largest urban school district, I am filled with gratitude. I'm filled with gratitude for the students who inspire, the families who speak up, the educators who show up every day, and the community that believes in the power of public schools. I've learned that serving in local office is not easy. It requires thick skin, late nights, and the willingness to make decisions that won't please everyone. Democracy is demanding. It's messy, often frustrating, and always imperfect, but it's also one of the most powerful tools we have for collective change. And when it works, when people come together to build something better, it's absolutely worth it. Milwaukee Public Schools faces challenges that are complex and deeply rooted, from chronic underfunding and staff shortages to the impacts of segregation, systemic racism, and decades of disinvestment in our city's children. These are not problems created overnight, and they will not be solved overnight. But I have seen the brilliance, resilience, and potential that lives in every MPS classroom and community. I've seen what's possible when we invest in our schools, trust our educators, and center the voices of students and families. At the same time, we are entering one of the most critical struggles for the future, not just of public education, but of democracy itself. The rise of authoritarianism and the normalization of fascist rhetoric are no longer distant possibilities. They are here, and they are real. And they are targeting public institutions like our schools, where equity, diversity, and critical thinking are practiced every day. Fighting back will take more than policy changes or speeches like this one. It will require courage from all of us. Courage to speak up, courage to tell the truth, and courage to protect our communities when they are under attack. We all have a role to play in resisting hate and to build something better. Though my time on the board is ending, I will always have deep love and appreciation for all of the people in Milwaukee Public Schools. I remain in this fight committed to public education, to Milwaukee, and to a democracy that works for everyone. Thank you for allowing me to serve.
Here you go. Here. You ran off the stage. Do any board members wish to make remarks at this time? I see no hands. Director Simpson.
I don't know if I can. I've talked to you so much over the course of your service to Milwaukee Public Schools, and truly my heart is filled with gratitude for your integrity, your leadership, your courage to push us to do better and think deeper about everything. You are somebody that I think all of us have really admired and looked up to as we've faced different challenges along the way, some of them really difficult, and your leadership has been invaluable in moving our district forward. And so I'm just filled with gratitude for your service and to be able to call you my friend.
Anyone else? Director Zumber.
Thank you, President Herndon. Okay, so to be candid, it did take us some time to build trust and a deep understanding of one another, but I am deeply grateful for your friendship. I think, especially as we navigated the last year on the board, your directness, your honesty, your fierceness, your defense of public education. I think the proclamation speaks for itself and all of your contributions to Milwaukee Public Schools. I'm really excited to see what your next chapter holds, and just want to thank you.
Thank you very much. Director Leonard, I didn't think he would wait.
Sorry. Yes, you're right. So I'm actually going to just add something to this that was not mentioned. Director Gokongale has been accepted into Harvard University, so please give her a nice round of applause. That is quite an honor. So keep up the great work. I'm sure you're going to do great things when you go there, and I'm sure we will see you. We've actually built some of a friendship over time, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And I'd like to say, as Vice President, I too will miss you, and I hope that you enjoy your next chapter. I know it'll be full of action. Thank you. Madam Secretary, what is the next item, please?
The second commendation is action on the waiver of Board Rule 1.10 and adoption of a proclamation in honor of Henry Leonard, departing member of the Milwaukee Board of School Directors, for his years of service to the Milwaukee Public Schools. The recommendation is the board waive Board Rule 1.10, Parent 1, and adopt the attached proclamation in recognition and appreciation of Director Henry Leonard and his service to the Milwaukee Public Schools and to the citizens of Milwaukee.
At this time, the chair will accept a motion to waive Board Rule 1.10, Parent 1, and adopt the attached proclamation in recognition and appreciation of Director Henry Leonard and his service to Milwaukee Public Schools and to the citizens of Milwaukee. May I have that motion, please? Director Ferguson.
Okay, I motion, thank you, Madam President. I motion to waive Board Rule 1.101 in adoption of a proclamation in honor of Director Henry Leonard.
A second? Director O'Halloran.
Second.
Thank you. If there's no discussion, the secretary will please call the roll.
On Director Ferguson's motion to waive Board Rule 1.10, Parent 1, and adopt the attached proclamation in honor of Director Henry Leonard, Director Ferguson,
Aye.
Director Garcia,
Aye.
Director Herndon,
Aye.
Director Jackson,
Aye.
Director Leonard,
Aye.
Director O'Halloran,
Aye.
Director Seamson,
Aye.
Director Zomber,
Aye.
and Director Gokul Gandhi.
Aye.
That's 9 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Please read the proclamation.
Board of School Directors Proclamation, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Whereas Henry Leonard, who was first elected to the 7th District seat on the Milwaukee Board of School Directors in April of 2021, served as chair of the board's Committee on Parent and Community Engagement in the 24-25 board year. And whereas Henry Leonard served as the board's delegate to the District Advisory Council for all 4 years of his term. And whereas Henry Leonard valued community feedback and collaborated with the District Advisory Council to establish public forums for community engagement on topics of public interest. And whereas Henry Leonard championed student voice by consistently advocating for youth engagement and student voice in decision-making processes. And whereas Henry Leonard insisted on strong leadership within a district, giving mindful consideration to choosing the next superintendent of schools in 2025. And whereas Henry Leonard advocated for improvements to the school nutrition program and co-sponsored a resolution to establish the Food Justice Task Force and ensured that student representation would be at the forefront of efforts to make recommendations for redeveloping the lunch and breakfast programs to ensure that the needs of the student body are met. And whereas Henry Leonard has supported voter education and registration efforts, including co-sponsorship of a resolution that enables qualified staff to become voter champions, that provides students with opportunities to register to vote and to help register others, and that formally recognizes the 4th Tuesday of September as Student Registration Day within the district. And whereas Henry Leonard has promoted public transparency and accountability, including sponsorship of a resolution calling for the establishment of an Operation Advisory Committee to develop a transparent action plan for organizational reforms, including organizational changes, student performance improvement, fiscal management, and community engagement. Now, therefore, be it resolved that on this occasion of his retirement from the board, the Milwaukee Board of School Directors extends its sincere appreciation to Henry Leonard for his years of dedicated service to the Milwaukee Public Schools, to its students, and to the public. And be it further resolved that this resolution be spread upon the permanent proceedings of the Board of School Directors, and that the board instruct the board clerk to have an engrossed copy of this document suitably signed and sealed, prepared and delivered to Henry Leonard in tribute to his record of dedicated public service to the citizens of Milwaukee and to the children of Milwaukee Public Schools, adopted this 17th day of April, 2025.
In addition to the proclamation by the board, the superintendent wishes to present Director Leonard a piece of student artwork in appreciation for his service to the children of the Milwaukee Public Schools. At this time, Director Leonard, please join the superintendent and the chair at the front of the stage to receive the proclamation and artwork.
Director Leonard and Dr. Casalius and President Herndon are moving to the front of the stage. For all of the board members doing this work, it is a big commitment of time and service. It's quite an honor, and we're very grateful. I'm taking a few pictures with the proclamation. And Director Leonard's family is here to thank him and celebrate his retirement from the board. Thank you, Director Leonard. They're all moving back to their seats. And President Herndon is making sure he receives his proclamation. And President Herndon is going to call for
Do
remarks.
board members have any remarks
Oh,
at this
wait,
time?
before board members, I think Director Leonard might have some.
You know he does.
A long speech.
So, yes, I've never been short on words. Today I will be a little bit. This is, to be honest, a bit of a bittersweet moment because I've I've actually loved the challenges of this job. I love what had to be done. It took a while for us as a board, working together to make things happen, but we did it. And I believe we've made some extremely pivotal changes in our district. And I, first of all, thank all of my colleagues and anybody else that has worked on this to make this happen. You also deserve a definite round of applause. So thank you very much. I find this to be more than an honor, to be able to represent the City of Milwaukee Public School students, parents, the community, staff members, et cetera. Really, in essence, over half of my life, this has just been the capping of a career that you could not ask more for. It's been a blessing. I thank everyone involved. I wouldn't say I would go back for another 4 years, I'll be honest with you, but I do enjoy it, and I will still be, I still will be involved in different ways, working with our parents and our students in the community. I thank you very much, and I'm going to miss everyone. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, I'll start with Director O'Halloran.
I'll just keep it super brief. I actually just want to thank your family. I know coming out of retirement, you thought like, hey, we get to have him full time. And then he kind of went right back into the fire, right? And so I hope that, you know, having the full-time retirement experience is something that your family is looking forward to as well. So thank you for your service, and thank you to your family for sharing Henry with us. We appreciate it.
Director Gokul Gandhi.
Except, you know, he just said the DAC, and he said, oh, 2 hours here, 2 hours there. Next thing you know, he's going to be on every committee from here to La La Land, and it's going to be, Patty's going to be like, really? Really? I just want to thank you, Director Leonard. I think you really modeled what it felt like for a board director to be honest about the opportunities and challenges in Milwaukee Public Schools. I think you were sort of the first one who stepped out of often the prescriptive role that board members are asked to stick to, and the talking points that we are often relayed, and just break through that membrane of communicating with the community. And so I also think you're an incredibly enjoyable person, and so I look forward to continuing our friendship, and thank you for all of the years. Can you actually tell us the total years of service you've contributed to Milwaukee Public Schools?
It's over 33, I know that.
All right, well, let's just give him a round. That's as long as I've existed, so thank you. Thank you.
Director Zomber.
Thank you, President Herndon. I know all of our work spills over into our family time, and Henry is one of those board members that is on the job 24/7 and on the phone. So I want to second the thank you to Director Leonard's family for, you know, sharing that precious family time with the district. I mean this when I say it's been an absolute pleasure to work with you. You can be a little bit of a wild card sometimes, and you do like to push things right up to the edge, but we all know that you're acting in the best interest of the district and our students, and that's so important. And even if you don't agree with someone, you always have a respectful conversation, and when you listen, people know they're heard. Sorry. So I value your tireless commitment to the work of shared governance and student voice and trying to push the board to do things differently. I'll miss our talks, but I know that you'll always be a part of the fabric of MPS, so thank you.
Director Simpson.
Well, I can't top that. I was just going to say that when you have taught in the district and then you move on to do more work for the district, it really means that you are dedicated to what's happening in our schools, with our students, with our staff, and that really that came through in the work that you did on the board. So just for a lifetime of commitment and dedication to something that is truly the fabric of our communities and the hope for our future, I just, thank you so much for all that you have done.
Thank you. From this side, Director Ferguson.
I just want to say to Director Leonard, thank you very much. I think especially coming on to the board, you were always someone that I could call up and talk to, or if I didn't call you, you were going to call me. And at first I thought I was special until your wife came today and said that you're on the phone 8 hours a day. And I'm like, well, you're just definitely not on the phone with me for 8 hours a day. So, but I do appreciate, I definitely appreciate the time that you put in with making sure that I understood what we were doing, giving me historical context. That was just invaluable, and it was something you can't put a price on, and I appreciate it. I deeply value our relationship that we've developed over my time on the board. I appreciate you. I know it's one thing to talk to somebody, but it's another thing to know that someone is sincere, to never have to question where your values really lie. I really appreciate that as a person, as a human being, and as a board member. And we're going to miss that on the board, but you've already committed that I can call you when I need to. So, wife, family, I hope y'all understand that we got a little bit more than just this board going on. I really trust this guy. He's a man of integrity, a man of honor and value, and I thank you guys for sharing him with us.
Director Garcia.
Yes, so to Director Leonard, I know because of the proximity of our district, there was a lot of overlap in similar troubleshooting, problem solving, creative energy that we had to put towards some of the issues that came our way. So I just want to thank you for always making the time to really think about, just continuing to center the students in all of the initiatives that we put forth, for always bringing such a great spirit that made, as challenging as the work was, it always felt like worthwhile. And it's because of a colleague like you that really makes it easier to be able to, step into a place where we know that, it's an uphill battle, but we've moved many boulders. And I think that because of the leadership that you've been able to share with all of us, and our colleagues have resonated with what I'm saying, you have really helped bring us together in a way that I don't think would have been possible had you not been in the place that you are. So thank you for your service and for everything that you've been able to not only share in our conversations, but for the district, and looking forward to your actual retirement and what you do.
Go ahead, Director Jackson.
Director Leonard, I first want to say I appreciate and admire your authentic community engagement. If nothing else, you're not just sitting up here talking about doing things, you're actually out there doing it with the people, with the staff. That in itself, I know is time consuming, but your commitment to me, for me, has inspired me to do a little more. But also, I love the fact that you push the envelope, as we should. There is no guideline to this, how we should and shouldn't do, and I wouldn't allow nothing or nobody to define my work as you've already done. Thank you for showing me that by not allowing nobody to define how you should move and correct the best way you can in this district, so thank you.
Thank you, and I always considered Henry to be one that was honest, true, driven, and energy comparable to the Energizer Bunny. The reason why I say that is because you could always count on Henry to be at an event that was happening at a school or in the community. Yesterday, however, he did one better. We were at the direct supply for the STEM fair for our youth from schools throughout the district. Henry said he made it there at 9 o'clock. He made sure he was not going to be late. It didn't start till 11. But it was a fantastic event, and it was a fantastic way for us to spend that last event. So I want to give him a hand for making sure he was not late yesterday. So with that, we're going to move on. Next, Madam Secretary, what is the next item?
Madam President, the third commendation is action on the waiver of Board Rule 1.10, Parent 1, and adoption of a proclamation in honor of Chela Garcia, departing member of the Milwaukee Board of School Directors, for her years of service to the Milwaukee Public Schools. The recommendation is the board waive Board Rule 1.10, Parent 1, and adopt the attached proclamation in recognition and appreciation of Director Chela Garcia and her service to the Milwaukee Public Schools and to the citizens of Milwaukee.
Thank you. At this time, the chair will accept a motion to waive Board Rule 1.10, Parent 1, and adopt the attached proclamation in recognition and appreciation of Director Chela Garcia and her service to the Milwaukee Public Schools and to the citizens of Milwaukee. May I have that motion, please, Director Simpson?
I move that we waive Board Rule 1.10, Parent 1, and adoption of a proclamation in honor of Chela Garcia, who is a departing member of the Milwaukee Board of School Directors.
A second, please, Director Jackson?
I second that motion, excuse me.
Okay, if there's no discussion, the secretary will please call the roll.
On Director Simpson's motion to waive Board Rule 1.10, Parent 1, and adopt the attached proclamation in honor of Director Chela Garcia and her service to the Milwaukee Public Schools, Director Ferguson.
Aye.
Director Garcia.
Aye.
Director Gokul Gandhi.
Aye.
Director Jackson.
Aye.
Director Leonard.
Aye.
Director O'Halloran.
Aye.
Director Simpson.
Aye.
Director Zomber.
Aye.
And President Herndon.
Aye.
That's 9 ayes. The motion passes.
Madam Secretary, please read the proclamation.
Board of School Directors Proclamation, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Whereas Marcela Chela Garcia was first elected to the 6th District seat on the Milwaukee Board of School Directors in April 2021 and served as the chair of the Committee on Accountability, Finance, and Personnel for the 2023-24 and 2024-25 board years. And whereas Chela Garcia supported the civic engagement of students by co-sponsoring a resolution that would enable students and student advisors to participate in the Day Without Latinx and Immigrant Rights. And whereas Chela Garcia championed bilingual education and English learners, sponsoring a resolution calling for the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction to reconsider the implementation of the 2023 Wisconsin Act 20 to remove negative impacts on English learners to better ensure that civil rights of English learners are protected. And whereas Chela Garcia further advocated for bilingual education by co-sponsoring a resolution urging the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction to support legislation that would provide an alternative pathway to bilingual, bicultural license applicants that does not require passage of the costly and time-consuming Foundations of Reading test, FORT. And whereas Chela Garcia worked diligently with her colleagues to appoint a new superintendent of schools in 2025, and whereas Chela Garcia joined in co-sponsoring a resolution in opposition to the education cuts proposed in the FY25 appropriations bill that would reduce funding for K-12 schools. And now therefore be it resolved that on this occasion of her retirement from the board, the Milwaukee Board of School Directors extends its sincere appreciation to Chela Garcia for her years of dedicated service to the Milwaukee Public Schools, to its students, and to the public. And be it further resolved that this resolution be spread upon the permanent proceedings of the Board of School Directors, and that the board instruct the board clerk to have an engrossed copy of this document, suitably signed and sealed, prepared and delivered to Chela Garcia in tribute to her record of dedicated public service to the citizens of Milwaukee and to the children of the Milwaukee Public Schools. Adopted this 17th day of April, 2025.
In addition to the proclamation by the board, the superintendent wishes to present Director Garcia a piece of student artwork in appreciation of her service to the children of Milwaukee Public Schools. At this time, will Director Garcia please join the superintendent and the chair at the front of the stage to receive her proclamation and artwork. Okay.
They are moving to the front of the stage where Director Garcia is receiving her artwork from Dr. Casalius and her proclamation from President Herndon. Congratulations, Director Garcia, on your retirement from the Milwaukee Board of School Directors. It has been such an honor to work with you. And taking a few pictures. Again, it takes a lot of time and energy to dedicate yourself to these roles of public service. I don't know if anybody could even begin to understand the amount of work that each of these board members do. Thank you, Director Garcia. President Herndon and Director Garcia are moving back to their chairs. And President Herndon is going to direct us next.
Okay. Director Garcia, do you have remarks at this time?
Of course. All right. All right, so as my term on the MPS school board comes to a close, after 4 years of service, I reflect on the journey that we've shared. 4 years ago, I was elected with a promise to work in partnership with parents, teachers, and students to strengthen our district and ultimately our public schools. As I prepare to step down, I look back at our collective efforts, the challenges we faced, and the victories that we've achieved. Each, none, no matter the size, helping to shape the future of education in our community. Juntos hemos logrado muchísimo, desde afrontar las complejidades de COVID-19 y reconstruir nuestro sistema educativo tras la pandemia, pasando por la aprobación de un referéndum, hasta coger un cambio de liderazgo, siempre nos hemos centrado en lo más importante, nuestros estudiantes. Un elemento central de ese trabajo que ha sido la convicción de lo que la educación prospera cuando la comunidad se une, cuando padres, maestros y estudiantes aportan sus voces, perspectivas y fortalezas. While we've made significant strides, the work is far from over. We are at a pivotal moment in public education. In this current administration, we must continue to defend and protect the values that have made public education a cornerstone of opportunity for generations. We must continue advocating for the resources, the policies, and the support that ensure our schools are places of equity, empowerment, and growth. Education is not just about learning. It's about liberation. It's about creating a system that serves all students, particularly those who have been historically marginalized and those who need additional supports to thrive. To build on an education system that is truly liberatory, we must remain vigilant and committed to systemic change. As I leave my position, I do so knowing that the foundation we've built together will continue to drive progress. The opportunity for change is vast, and I will remain deeply involved in supporting initiatives that uplift all students, especially those that are in need of our advocacy and care. The road ahead may be challenging, but I have no doubt that our shared commitment to Milwaukee Public Schools will continue to propel us forward. So thank you for your trust, your partnership, and your unwavering dedication to creating a better future for our students in our district. Gracias por su confianza, su colaboración y su inquebrantable dedicación para crear un futuro mejor para cada estudiante en nuestro distrito. Sí se puede.
Okay, do any board members wish to make remarks? Director Ferguson.
Okay. Thank you, President Herndon. I am definitely going to miss you, Chella, sitting right next to you and the side conversations that we've had the notes we passed during the meetings when I didn't understand something. She's always right here to help me get an understanding or gather an understanding while we're on the floor. So I really do appreciate that. I also really, really appreciate your commitment to Black and brown students. Chella, on the floor and when we go behind these doors, her commitment to these students has been relentless. And I think that's honorable, and I appreciate that, and we're going to miss that. So I hope we continue to work as hard as we have to make sure that we lift up our Black and brown students in this district, and I really do appreciate your service.
Director Leonard, I'll do this side and then I'll switch over here.
So I won't be real long because first of all, there's one thing about Director, I'm just going to Chella. Chella, we've become sort of more than just friends. You give me such a sense of balance and understanding that I could not normally have had. So you've really made such a difference that you probably are not even aware of. Our districts are side by side. You're right, we have worked on a lot of challenging things between our districts, and our districts are overlapping population-wise, and you've taught me a lot about the Latino population and how to think on things much more clearly and much more balanced. And that has been so valuable in my efforts in my own district, in the 7th District. So first of all, I just appreciate that and thank you very much. And forgive me. I also just appreciate your friendship. Truly do. I'm looking forward to knowing you for a long, long time. Thank you.
Okay.
You said
should I
just
just
finishing
start
this
at the
side.
beginning?
This side.
I would like to say
This
to
side.
our community, please excuse us if you see tears up here tonight. I think that's a wonderful thing to know that we've worked in the manner that we have over these past 4 years or so. So just excuse us. I'll start with Director Jackson.
Too big to miss. Oh, man. Chella, first off, thank you, as Leonard said, and being a friend. You was probably one who would truly welcome me on this board and having real personable conversations related to this space and personal space, in addition to just being an authentic woman of color, and standing on that and not making no excuses for who you are and even speaking your speech in Spanish like that and helping me learn Spanish even more. So I've made it my task to do so, but I thank you for that and just welcoming me that's so hard to do nowadays. So I appreciate you accepting me and welcoming me on this board.
Okay. Director Gokul Gandhi.
Who knew 4 years ago that this is what we'd be getting ourselves into, right? And so I just want to commend you. I think you've brought like an incredible bicultural, bilingual, the art perspective and the importance of that has been, I think, really different. I think you provide that perspective in a way that nobody else does on this board. And I'm so excited that you're going to continue to be a leader, through the Walker's Point Center, the art in the community. And I'm sure our students are still going to benefit from all your brilliance. And so thank you for being a colleague, and thank you for being a gym buddy. I know we used to go to the same gym, and we'd be like, this is our decompression time. So I just wish you all of the peace and continued brilliance that you bring to our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Zomber.
Thank you, President Herndon. So I just want to thank you for your passion, your bravery, your strong moral compass. I value our partnership together on some of the WASB initiatives. You always have a way to say just the right thing when the rest of us are at a loss for words. And you also have an incredible sense of humor that brought light when we really needed it. And so I just want to thank you for your service to the district. And I hope this isn't it's just farewell but not goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Seamson.
Yeah, I wanted to thank you for your voice of calm during some times when things were difficult and challenging. And I agree with Director Zambor. I agree with everything everybody else has said, but also just your ability to lighten the mood and make us kind of laugh at ourselves sometimes when we needed to do that. And also to help us regroup when we were sort of all going in different directions. You had a way of kind of, through humor, through a little bit of lightening the mood, bringing us all back together and refocusing us. So I just really appreciate you, and your voice will be very much missed.
Thank you. Anyone else? With that, you will be missed. You will absolutely be missed. She's the common force, as I considered it, the soft-spoken but firm, to the point, very factual. I appreciate that. There certainly were times when we all needed it, and come and see us sometime. And with that, we'll move forward. Madam Secretary, what is the next item on the agenda?
Madam President, the next item is action on the minutes of the February 2025 special and regular meetings of the Milwaukee Board of School Directors.
If there are no corrections, the minutes will be approved by consensus. Okay. Madam Secretary, are there any reports or communications from the superintendent?
Madam President, we have one communication from the superintendent, the monthly report with possible action of the superintendent of schools. This is an informational item, and although it was noticed for possible action, no action is required.
Will the superintendent please present the report?
Madam President, thank you. I just want to quickly make comments on the board members. I'm not going to talk about each of them, but I do want to say how incredibly proud I am of this board and how lucky all of you are to work with one another and the amazing work that you've done together. I feel incredibly honored to have such an incredible board to work with, and I just thank you all so, so much. I wanted to talk a little bit about the way that I'm going to be doing my superintendent report going forward. I'm going to bring a little bit of structure to it, so there will be a slide presentation so that you can get information. Today, you'll get just a sample of what it's going to be like to have a superintendent's report. But when we get in the thick of the work, there will be data that will be presented as part of this report, updates and information that will be part of this report. And there will be community voices that will be in this report as well. So I want to make sure that you know what's going to be included within this report. So as we begin to work together, you'll be able to see a lot of that within this report. So this is going to be some highlights of the past, since the last board meeting, and some information as well, a little bit of mix. So first tonight, I want to share with you that our team remains committed to doing all that we can to confront the lead remediation work that is ongoing in our district. And I start with the lead because I said this is my top priority, to create safe schools, for our students. As of tonight, 3 of our buildings remain closed: Fernwood Montessori School, La Follette School, and Starms Early Childhood Center. At Fernwood, renovation and painting are now complete, which is such a great thing. The school is undergoing thorough cleaning, which we expect will be completed this weekend. When the cleaning is complete, the City of Milwaukee Health Department will inspect the building, which we expect to take place this Monday. If all things go as expected, teachers will be provided the full day on Tuesday to set up their classrooms. Meanwhile, on Tuesday, students will report to Douglas Middle School, where they have been welcomed by Milwaukee Rec members, our academic team, and the administrator from Fernwood. Then we are pleased to announce that we expect Fernwood should reopen to staff and students on Wednesday if everything proceeds as planned, and we get our sign off from the Department of Health. So we're very excited about this progress. At La Follette, renovation and painting work began on April 15th, which is when the newly hired contractor was first available to start the work. The work in this building is expected to take 4 to 5 weeks. At Starms ECC, renovation and painting are ongoing and are about 75% complete. We expect this stage of work to be finished by the end of April, and then a thorough cleaning will be performed before inspection by the City of Milwaukee Health Department. Last week, in partnership with the Milwaukee Health Department and Children's Wisconsin, we held a virtual town hall meeting for 7 schools that have been impacted by lead remediation work. The meeting lasted 90 minutes and more than 200 people attended. We heard from nearly 20 families during that time asking relevant and insightful questions. We have curated a list of frequently asked questions that is being shared with families and posted on our website. We also heard repeated calls from families to increase our communications to them on the status of the work happening in their buildings, and we are committed to doing that. As you know, I have made leadership changes in our facility and maintenance service department, and that I believe are in the best interest of our students, staff, and families. I've appointed Mike Terza as interim director of facilities and maintenance services. Mike Terza is no stranger to MPS, having served as the Director of Operations and previously supervised the Department of Facilities and Maintenance Services before his retirement 9 years ago. Mikhail Manin, most recently Director of City of Milwaukee Health Department's Home Environmental Health Division, is now supporting MPS full-time. He brings more than 25 years of experience in code enforcement, lead risk assessment, environmental hazard mitigation. He is certified in both lead and asbestos inspection and abatement, and previously served as a lead risk assessor for 5 years with MHD. Mr. Manin's role will focus on supporting lead hazard remediation, reviewing cleaning protocols, guiding routine inspections, guiding routine inspections, and advising on the development and execution of MPS's lead action plan. This strengthened collaboration reinforces the shared priority and safeguarding of our students and our staff. Finally, our team in partnership with the Milwaukee Health Department is finaling our lead action plan, which we expect to be released in the coming days. While we have been managing this important lead remediation work, there is, of course, much more happening across the district. I've engaged in a variety of meetings with our central office team focused on building my leadership team and ensuring we are moving forward on building our proposed 25-26 budget. We have officially posted 3 critical positions for our district: Chief Operations, Chief of Communications, and Chief of Human Resources. We have engaged HYA to help us recruit the very best candidates, and I look forward to keeping you updated on our progress in these searches. I've also met with a wide range of reporters and from media outlets in our city and have been proud to talk about the vision for the district and the great opportunities that lie ahead. At the same time, I've been having so much fun crisscrossing the city, meeting students and staff, families, and other community partners, and tonight I want to share with you some of those highlights. Some of the first few weeks here in Milwaukee, you'll notice on the screens that I'll be sharing some photos of my visits across the city. On Saturday, April 5th, I was excited to join our district's Refugee and Immigrant Resource Fair at South Division High School. It was wonderful to see the many community organizations who were here, assisting our families and helping them access critical resources, and watching the students perform was an absolute treat. I've been continuing my visits to schools across the district, including at Maple Tree Elementary School, and last week I was able to attend a Bucks game with Director Jackson. On Friday, I had the joy of attending the city-wide prom for students with special needs, held at Washington High School of Information Technology. It was so wonderful to see our students so happy, enjoying the special life moment, which was made possible by our staff and community volunteers. I got to spend some time on the dance floor with students and even in the glam room. It was a great night. On Sunday, I had the privilege of attending the amazing performance of Hairspray at Milwaukee School of Languages, their first ever musical production, and wow, just wow. From the moment the curtain rose, the talent, heart, and energy radiating from the stage were nothing short of electric. I want to share a huge kudos to the incredible cast, crew, and ensemble staff, and teachers, and community partners who brought this magical moment to life. They didn't just perform, they soared. Yesterday, I was able to spend some time with our students at the STEM Showcase. More than 200 students were showcasing innovation in science, technology, engineering, and math. The showcase is an opportunity to see how much our students are learning and innovating right now, but it also feels like a glimpse into their successful futures in these demand fields. A true highlight is also listening and learning from our students. I had the honor of meeting with Owen, Bodie, and Manuel from the Superintendent Student Advisory Council. We discussed everything from academics to AI. We also discussed their role in governance and reenacting a policy created sometime in the early 1970s that allows for student representation on the board. I look forward to discussing this with you in the future. I also have been meeting with civic and community leaders in Milwaukee. Our legislative policy manager, Chris Thiel, and I have been meeting with the Milwaukee delegation, as well as Rep. Donovan. I met with Governor Evers and provided him with an update of our lead remediation and our operational audit. And I will continue my visits to civic and state leaders as we build an all-hands-on-deck effort that is community-driven and community-led. Also, I've been meeting with members of our business community, the foundation community, and asking for their support and partnership. And I even had a chance to attend the Rotary Luncheon with Dr. Owen Moore and also the GMC board meeting. Finally, I'm working on aspects of the operational audit that call for a need to address operational excellence throughout the district. I'm meeting with the teacher union twice weekly, and I'm also collaborating and regularly meeting with our Principals Association and leaders, as well as district staff. This will ensure we are organized and structured to support an academic focus into our future that sharpens our efforts on rigorous instruction and raises the bar for all our students, with equity at our core. We want MPS to be our parents' first choice, and that means high-quality schools and opportunities, not just in some schools, but a high-quality guarantee in every school and every neighborhood across Milwaukee. We have a talented team here in Milwaukee Public Schools, and we are rolling up our sleeves for our kids. That's my report for tonight, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. Does the board wish to make any comments on this item? If not, moving forward, Madam Secretary, are there any reports or communications from the board, Clerk Chief Officer, Office of Board Governance?
Thank you, Dr. Casalius. Madam President, there are 4 communications from the Office of Board Governance. The first communication is the monthly report with possible action from the Board Clerk, Chief Officer. This is an information item, and although it was noticed for possible action, no action is required.
Will the Office of Board Governance please present the report?
Madam President, Dr. Tina Owen Moore, the Chief Officer of the Office of Board Governance. My report is attached, but I wanted to highlight a few items tonight from that report. First, I want to take a moment to thank our outgoing board members on behalf of the Office of Board Governance. We are the office that serves all 9 of our board members, and when board members are elected to a 4-year term, that's like a whole high school career, right? You really get close to people, and I can tell you, while my time here has been short, I can say on behalf of our entire office, we love you all. So thank you for your service, for your kindness, for everything that you've given to the school district. I have worked with a lot of boards in my lifetime, and the opportunity to work with all of you has been incredible. And I can't imagine the 3 of you being gone. But I know that you'll stay connected. And I was thinking about this role particularly and how I get to be like mentor and mentee at the same time, because my job and our job is to support the board and also be supported by the board. And it's this unique space. And I have loved being able to do that with each of you. So Director Leonard, I am going to miss your energy for listening to the community, to us, to everyone, to really listening deeply and learning, and then taking that and making sure it gets elevated in all of the spaces. Director Gokul Gandhi, I am going to miss and I always appreciate your push for excellence. In every meeting that I have sat in, you have pushed us towards how can we be better? What does excellence look like? What data do we need? How do we improve and improve and improve? And I have to say, I'm very proud that you're going to Harvard. I'm definitely going to come visit you there and see what you do next. I can't wait to see what you do next. And Director Garcia, you're carrying energy every time. You are the person who asks each and every one of us, are we okay? And also celebrates the little things, but The most important thing is that inclusion piece that you bring to every meeting, whether it's through language, whether it's through art, whether it's just making sure that every person, if we are sitting in a room, you will find the person who hasn't said anything yet and say, what do you think? And that is a gift to every community and to every space. So on behalf of our office, I want to thank the three of you and hope that you stay in touch. Our office's role is supporting the board, and so beyond helping our outgoing board members move into these new spaces and welcoming our new incoming board members to their new roles on the board, we have been trying to dig into the work of the MGT report and do some training. So this week, our board members participated in their first self-evaluation and board retreat to look at what are we doing, what can we do better, and how do we track that? How do we use data to track that? So we are looking forward to participating in that work together. Director Leonard and Director Ferguson also went with me on a site visit to the Whitewater School District this month to see what it looks like when evidence-based literacy instruction is put into action. And I think there was a lot to learn from that space. So we help our board members to learn also. And then we also helped to sponsor the community safety meeting this month. And I think that's going to really inform our committee work. So more to come on that in just a little bit here. And a huge part of our work that I have to lift up, and sometimes I forget to because it's just so automatic what we do, is our records request. And our team has been, as you know, we've had more records requests than you could possibly imagine with a lot that has gone on in the past year, but they are working hard and dedicated and getting those out to our community. So thank you to all of them. Thank you for all that you do, and we look forward to continuing to serve. And I am told that I am to pass it on to Chris Thiel, who is here to share a little bit about our legislative agenda.
Thank you, President Herndon, members of the board. Chris Thiel, Legislative Policy Manager for Milwaukee Public Schools. And just wanted to reaffirm Superintendent Caselius mentioned coming in and right away. We're in that period of advocacy for the state budget. And so to be able to come in right away and meet with the Milwaukee delegation, meet with other members of the state legislature, meet with the governor, and affirm all of the policies and the funding support that's crucial for our students at this time has been fantastic. And so those have been very open and well-received and strong conversations. And as part of that, this advocacy moment, we are also at the state level in that period where the Joint Committee on Finance is meeting, having public hearings. They have 2 remaining public hearings, one way up in Hayward and then another in Wausau. And I think, I was reminded again of the advocacy of this board and the fact that our district has put forward a call for a 90% reimbursement rate for special education. And in fact, some of our board members led a march, 60-mile march to Madison for a 60% reimbursement. And there was a time not too long ago where if you asked for 60%, people would say, that's a lot. I don't know if that's possible. But at these Joint Finance Committee meetings, every single time, every single district has been strongly, forthrightly stepping forward to our legislators and saying, this is what our children need, this is what our school districts need, this is what our communities need and property taxpayers need. Because we are at a moment where, as we've discussed in the past, we broke the record last year for the number of districts having to go to operational referenda. We had a large number of districts go again this April for operational referenda simply because that funding support is not coming from the state. So we've seen bills come forward to attempt to limit the ability for districts to go to referenda. And I think one thing that should just be said out loud, all of these districts would prefer to not have to go to referenda. Right? I think that we can hopefully build a larger advocacy community, whether it's an education-focused organization or the Wisconsin Realtors Association or any other organization, that if we in fact provided the funding and as a step toward that, really put forward the funding for students with disabilities as we should, that funding has benefit for all students, it has benefit for all communities, and down the road it has benefit for property taxpayers, because instead of having to go to referenda, our schools are being funded. So to hear a couple years on that each one of our school districts that testified before the Joint Committee of Finance was unified in that ask, I think is a huge step forward, and hopefully will pay dividends here over the next several weeks. As part of that process, the Joint Committee on Finance has stated that they are going to wait for the next revenue estimates that come out from S&P Global and then the Legislative Fiscal Bureau. So we anticipate seeing those revenue estimates maybe by May 9th or 10th, and then that information will be provided to the Joint Committee on Finance for them to do their work. As anybody who, I mean, you don't have to follow the news, you just live in this country, the economic outlook has changed a little bit over the last several weeks with the tariff activity. You may have seen the article from the executive director of the Milwaukee Metropolitan Association of Commerce and his strong comments about what that disruption has meant. And so we will, while we are on ground currently where we do have a surplus, I think we're going to see some estimates by early May that maybe we hadn't expected. So hopefully the outlook will be okay, but you know, given all of the uncertainty, I think we'll see a report that says there is uncertainty, more or less. But we're going to continue to push forward and advocate, obviously, for the needs of students there. At the federal level, I'm reminded of Director Leonard's comment earlier in the year where kind of a policy of we will comment on what we actually know when we know it, as opposed to speculating. But one piece of information we do have is Congress passed a continuing resolution. So theoretically, although we don't have the final numbers, some of our federal funding as we look toward next year should be relatively stable, not necessarily so, but not some of the dramatic shifts that we had talked about. But Congress is also working on its budget for the following fiscal year. And what we discussed earlier in collaboration with the Council of Great City Schools and others is that there are threats to Medicaid. There are possible threats to education funding. And so we've seen this really kind of staggered approach between the House and the Senate, where they're now supposed to come together and put a federal budget together. And you're seeing public statements now by some Republican members of Congress that they will not vote for a budget that has dramatic cuts to Medicaid and other things. But we're still in that moment where these subcommittees have to do their work under the cut guidelines they have. So, you know, while the rhetoric has been, we're going to reduce funding to a significant degree, but we're not going to cut anything, those two sentences don't line up. So we're going to keep track of that. And then we just obviously have some other policy dictates coming forward. And again, I think, you know, heeding the advice of presenting information when we know it. We are working, again, with the Council of Great City Schools. We're in collaboration with the Big 5 school districts in the state of Wisconsin. We're working with the Department of Public Instruction on just really monitoring any federal policy potential changes and what our responses to those changes should be and what would be most appropriate. So just being very diligent in that work to make thoughtful decisions as we go forward. So that is my report. Happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Thank you very much. Could you, for the sake of the community that is watching, elaborate on the special needs student funding? Because most people don't understand why we're asking for a higher percentage and be able to connect it with what we actually receive and how we actually have to put the money in to support the students out of general budget, basically.
President Herndon, I'd be happy to. At one time in the state of Wisconsin, there was a reimbursement rate for students with disabilities that was closer to 70%. That was in the late 1970s and fell over a long period of time. It's stabilized. It's even hard to use that word. It fell to a historic low of about 25% 5 or 6 years ago. But as we sit here today, the reimbursement rate for special education for public schools is only 29.4%, even though in state law it is supposed to be 33. And as a result of that, because it's the thing that districts would do anyway, but under federal and state law, obviously school districts need to support our students with disabilities. Instead of the state doing its job to support students with disabilities, districts are forced to shift funds to make sure that we're providing the support that is needed. And as a result, when you put together the fact that the reimbursement, I think it's a fact today that the reimbursement rate for students with disabilities, Wisconsin's the lowest in the country. And we, as we've talked about in the past, have not had regular per pupil funding that's kept pace with inflation for 16 years. The reason all of these school districts are having to go to referendum is because of those defunding pieces. Special education in particular is important because it is what is called, quote, categorical aid. It's a category of student funding. And it, unlike per pupil funding, it's fully funded by the state when that money comes through. So there's not a property tax implication if those funds come through. So when I speak of it being a smart thing to do, not just generally to support our students, but having a positive property tax impact, it's because it's this particular type of funding, categorical funding, number one, and then if that funding came through, the need to go to referenda on the back end would not be there for all of these districts that we continue to see having to do that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Do any members have comments or wish to ask questions on this item? Okay, moving along. Madam Secretary, what is the next communication from the Office of Board Governance?
Madam President, the next communication from the Office of Board Governance is consideration of and action on the employment agreement with Dr. Tina Owen Moore for the position of Board Clerk, Chief Officer, Office of Board Governance. The recommendation is that the board retire to closed session for consideration of this item.
Thank you. If there are no objections, we will defer this item to the end of the meeting. Madam Secretary, what is the next communication from the Office of Board Governance?
The next communication is action to discharge the Committee on Accountability, Finance, and Personnel from further consideration of Resolution 2425R-011 by Director Zomber on exploring litigation to hold paint companies liable for lead paint remediation costs and to give immediate consideration to the item. The recommendation is that the board retire to closed session.
Thank you. If there are no objections, we will defer this item to the end of the meeting. Madam Secretary, what is the next communication from the Office of Board Governance?
The next communication is consideration of and possible action on a settlement agreement. The recommendation is that the board retire to closed session to consider this item.
If there are no objections, we will defer this item to the end of the meeting. Madam Secretary, are there any reports or communications from the Office of Accountability and Efficiency?
There is one communication from the Office of Accountability and Efficiency. That is the monthly report with possible action on activities within the Office of Accountability and Efficiency. This is an informational item, and although it has been noticed for possible action, no action is required.
Would the Office of Accountability and Efficiency please present this report?
Thank you, Chair Herndon. Matt Chasen, Office of Accountability and Efficiency. That report is before you. I'll briefly provide you a quick corrective action plan update. I had signaled in my previous updates over the last 2 months there was one particular milestone that was slipping as it related to an anticipated completion date. And basically it involves, we're going to be characterized as closing our financial ledger for a fiscal period. I'm happy to say that the team has worked very diligently to arrive at that point. Our external auditor, having now achieved that particular milestone, has now re-engaged with their field work. That is the first step in them roughly completing over the next several weeks the audited financials of the district for FY24. So that's a very positive update. I want to thank the financial managers in the area, the interim comptroller, the CFO. They show up every day in what is the pressure cooker, trying to get this work completed. I also want to thank the departing board members. It has been my honor and privilege to inform you, support you, collaborate with you. I wish you all the very best. With that, I'm going to turn it over to our Chief Auditor, Mr. Guide.
Good evening, President Herndon, members of the board, Paul Geib, Chief Auditor. Just 3 quick bullet highlights for you. We did just complete our peer review this week. It was a clean opinion, no management letter comments. It's the highest level of assurance you can have for quality and adherence to the auditing standards that we follow. Second thing is that last month you approved the audit committee charter, the independent audit committee charter. We'll be bringing names forward to the board in May, mayors, the comptrollers, OE, and the board's nominees for your review and approval. Third thing is that we did bring on board a new audit supervisor, Matt Hart, who's out there in the audience. He comes from Milwaukee County's audit shop. We're excited to have him. And finally, I did also want to thank Director Leonard, Director Garcia, and Director Gokul Gandhi for your service and also your support. So best wishes on future endeavors.
Thank you very much. Does that conclude your report?
That concludes our report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do more board members have any questions? Yes, Director Leonard.
So I was just seeing what you can attribute this to. I was looking at one of the bullet points. It says talk about the 49th fraud hotline tips and how that's such a significant increase. What are you attributing that to?
President Herndon,
Yes.
Director Leonard, members of the board, Chief Auditor Paul Geib. What I'm attributing it to is that I think there have been some changes in the district, and folks are feeling a little bit more comfortable and empowered to lodge concerns.
Any follow-up?
That's good news. I mean, it's good to know that confidence level is going up, that people can feel free to speak much more openly. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions? Moving right ahead, Madam Secretary, what is the next item of business?
Madam President, next item is action on reports of the independent hearing officers of the Milwaukee Board of School Directors, student expulsions.
The chair will entertain a motion to accept, modify, or reject the reports of the independent hearing officers for the dates and times listed in our agenda. Will the secretary, I need a motion first. Director O'Halloran?
I move that we approve the 2 reports of the independent hearing officers as attached.
I need a second. Director Gokul Gandhi?
Second.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
On Director O'Halloran's motion to approve the 2 reports of the independent hearing officers as attached, Director Ferguson? Aye. Director Garcia?
Aye.
Director Gokul Gandhi?
Aye.
Director Jackson? Aye. Director Leonard?
Aye.
Director O'Halloran?
Aye.
Director Seamson?
Aye.
Director Zomber?
Aye.
President Herndon?
Aye.
That's 9 ayes, the motion passes.
Madam Secretary, are there any items of regular business?
Yes, there are 8 items of regular business. Item 1 is action on monthly personnel matters, action on classified personnel transactions, action on certificated appointments, action on leaves of absence, report on resignations and retirements, affirmative action. The recommendation is that the board approve the promotions, appointments, and leaves as listed in the attachments to the item to be effective upon approval by the board.
Would the administration please present the item?
President Herndon, members of the board, Dr. Brenda Caselli, Superintendent, the administration requests your approval of the monthly personnel matters as attached in this month's report. I have Carol Eady with me to answer any questions you might have regarding this item.
Do members of the public wish to speak? Do we have any
We have no
slips?
speaker slips on this item.
Do board members wish to make comments or ask questions on this item? What is the pleasure of the board with respect to this item? Go ahead, Gokul Gandhi.
I move to approve the administration's recommendations.
A second. Director O'Halloran.
Second.
If there's no further discussion, the secretary will please call the roll.
On Director Gokul Gandhi's motion to approve the administration's recommendations, Director Ferguson? Aye. Director Garcia?
Aye.
Director Gokul Gandhi?
Aye.
Director Jackson? Director Leonard?
Aye.
Director O'Halloran?
Aye.
Director Seamson?
Aye.
Director Zomber?
Aye.
President Herndon?
Aye.
That's 9 ayes, the motion passes.
Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Item 2 is action on recommended administrative appointments, promotions, reassignments, and reclassifications, salary increases, decreases, and limited term employment contracts exceeding 60 days. The recommendation is that the board approve the promotions, appointments, leaves, and limited term employment contracts as listed in the attachments to the item to be effective upon approval by the board.
Would the administration please present this item?
President Herndon and members of the board, Dr. Brenda Casellia, Superintendent. The administration requests your approval of this item as it pertains to recommendations for appointments, promotions, reassignments, and reclassifications, as well as salary increases or decreases and LTE employment. I have Carol Eady with me to respond to any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, are there any speaker slips on this item?
We have no speaker slips on this item.
Thank you. Do board members wish to make comments or ask questions of this item? Director O'Halloran.
I move approval of the administrative appointments as attached.
We need a second? Okay. And then Director Simpson.
I'll second her motion.
Okay. All right. If there's no further discussion, the secretary, please call. Okay, Director, Mr. Chasen.
Thank you, Chair Herndon. Matt Chasen, Office of Accountability and Efficiency. One of the LTE appointments this month references ESSER reporting in the Office of Chief of Academics. And with the expiration of the ESSER funding, I was just wondering if we could get some more detail on what that might encompass in terms of their responsibilities.
Administration.
President Herndon, members of the board, Matt Chasen. I'm actually going to defer that to Michael Harris, who can possibly, not Michael Harris, Jennifer Mims Howell, who can answer that question. So I'm assuming she's making her way to the stage.
And given that we can't have airtime, Chief Jennifer Mims Howell is moving to the stage.
Thank you, Jennifer. Good evening. Good evening, President Herndon, members of the committee, Jennifer Mims Howell, Chief Academic Officer. The reason that we have this LTE, they are finishing up the ESSER reporting, making sure that we have everything outlined as far as all the services that were provided, making sure that if there's any services that need to continue that we're benefiting our students, we also can look at that as well. So that's why they are still finishing up the ESSER reporting.
Thank you. Does that satisfy your question? Thank you very much. Madam Secretary, we need
On Director O'Halloran's motion to approve the administration's recommendations as attached.
okay.
Director Ferguson? Aye. Director Garcia?
Aye.
Director Gokul Gandhi?
Aye.
Director Jackson? Aye. Director Leonard?
Aye.
Director O'Halloran?
Aye.
Director Simpson?
Aye.
Director Zomber?
Aye.
President Herndon?
Aye.
That's 9 ayes, the motion passes.
Before we continue with the agenda, on behalf of the board, the chair wishes to congratulate all individuals who were presented for appointment, promotion, reassignment, or reclassification. We appreciate your dedication to the MPS community, and we wish you success in your new role. Let's share in a round of applause for this month's appointees. And if any of you are here, please feel free to stand. Seeing none, Madam Secretary, what is the next item of regular business?
Madam President, item 3 is action on a request to modify and approve the timetable for the fiscal year 25-26 budget development and approval process. The recommendation is that the board adopt the revised fiscal year 2025-2026 proposed budget timetable as set forth in the attachment to this item.
Would administration please present this item?
President Herndon and members of the board, Dr. Brenda Casellia, Superintendent. This evening, the administration is requesting a modified timetable for the FY26 fiscal budget. As you have a copy before you, I'm joined by Acha Saba and Nick Sinrim to assist answering any questions you may have.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, do we have any speaker slips on this item?
We do not.
Are there members of the board that wish to make comments or ask questions on this item? Director Simpson.
Yeah, just a comment. President Herndon and I had written a resolution to make sure that we were not voting on amendments on the same day of our last board meeting of the month, because that meeting then would get very long. So just because I know we haven't determined that flow yet of meetings, just to make sure that we all kind of keep that we're all watching for that as we move forward. And I'm sure you will too. Just want to make sure we're all thinking that. So we're not here till 4 a.m.
I think everybody is in agreement of that. Thank you. Administration.
Director Simpson and members of the board, President Herndon, the reason that we're bringing this forward is because, as you know, I'm new, and there's some urgency in our work, and waiting a whole nother year for the budget to make some of the shifts to address the issues in the operational audit, and to address some safety issues, and of course, provide funding for our lead abatement. I just needed a bit more time to get underneath the budget, and then to be able to use the month of May to give you more input and feedback into the proposals that we'll be making to you for more formal adoption in June.
Thank you. Do board members have any more questions or wish to ask questions? What is the pleasure of the board with respect to, Director Simpson?
No, I was actually just going to make the motion to approve.
Go right ahead.
I move that we approve the proposed timeline for the budget.
Could I have a second, please? Director Garcia?
I second that.
If there's no further discussion, the secretary please call the roll.
On Director Simpson's motion to approve the proposed timeline for the budget, Director Ferguson? Aye. Director Garcia?
Aye.
Director Gokul Gandhi?
Aye.
Director Jackson? Aye. Director Leonard?
Aye.
Director O'Halloran?
Aye.
Director Simpson?
Aye.
Director Zomber?
Aye.
President Herndon?
Aye.
That's 9 ayes, the motion passes.
Madam Secretary, what is the next item?
Item 4 is consideration of and possible action on revisions to the structure of the board's standing committees. The recommendation is that the board determine how it wishes to proceed.
Would the administration please present this item?
I actually have to jump in on this one because it actually should read, would the Office of Board Governance please present this item? So over the past few months, we have been observing and testing out some new community engagement strategies for the work. And Director Leonard has really led this charge to have periodic community engagement sessions with board activity to hear from the public. And so one of the things that the Office of Board Governance would like to recommend before we start doing our organization meeting and assigning people to committees and chairs and things like that is to make a little bit of a change to the structure and to make the PACE committee really a parent and community engagement committee. So it would operate similar to what we've been doing with those community engagement meetings. And then the topics that have been on PACE that are more data and student improvement driven, putting those topics, keeping those topics, but putting on SASE, which is the student achievement and school innovation, which it feels like they're more appropriately served under that committee. And then to have the PACE committee meet with the goal of meeting every other month, except for in the months that the board doesn't have board meetings, but with the goal of having it every other month at the call of the chair. And so with those couple of changes to the committee structure, we know also that with Dr. Casalius, as we move forward, there's going to be more evaluation of the committees, more thought that goes around that, but those are two small changes that we thought we could make now and better serve you as you move into the organization meeting, if the boards should choose to do so.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, do we have any speaker slips?
We do.
Oh, here they come. Okay. We will read those now. First, we have Angela Harris.
Uh-oh, no timer tonight. What I'm going to do, guys?
Okay, state your first name, spell your last name, please.
Good evening, Superintendent Casillas and members of the board. I'm Angela Harris, Harris, and I'm here to speak against restructuring the PACE committee meetings from monthly to being held only when called by the chair and limited to community work sessions with selected topics. According to Board Rule 2.05, the Committee on Parent and Community Engagement shall address all issues involving Title I, recreation, parental involvement, community learning centers, community partnerships, and all other parental and community concerns addressed at public hearings. That's a wide range of responsibilities that directly impact our families and communities. Holding meetings only when called by the chair and narrowing community work sessions to specific topics limits the community's access to a space that's meant for their voices to be heard. In this current political climate where trust in public institutions, including our own, is fragile and community engagement is more important than ever, PACE should be the one place in this district that remains open, consistent, and responsive. A better solution would be to preserve the monthly meeting schedule and structure the agenda to include open time for parents and community members to raise concerns related to any of the community's charges. The agenda could include a standing new business or additional business item that allows for broader discussion and isn't restricted by strict interpretation of Robert's Rules of Order, which many of our community members are not familiar with. Limiting these meetings sends the wrong message to the community, particularly from a board who talks about increased transparency and accountability. We should be encouraging, not restricting, authentic community engagement. If this item does pass, I would urge the new chair of the PACE committee to understand the power and responsibility of this committee and to hold monthly meetings regardless, with space for intentional community-driven input. Thank you.
Next speaker is Jamel Harris.
Jamel Harris, Harris, 53208, District 4. To think, here we are, another board meeting held by people who publicly espouse that they want to be transparent and accountable, but they are here again working to limit parent and community engagement. I ask you all, especially Zambor, citywide director, your lack of oversight and accountability led to our district to lose Head Start, state funding, and now lead paint scandal, just to name a few. Some may not understand part of the why on how we are now in a lead paint crisis. A few years ago, it was presented to give teachers raises with monies from facilities and maintenance. They were advised to not do it for numerous reasons, including the district not getting any more state funding, and referendum funds were earmarked already for particular things. Now, we are a few years removed from that decision, and we're in another crisis. This board has shown time and time again the lack of care and concern for our students and community at large. Have any of you taken the advice of the governor's audit and went to some trainings or professional development so you can gain the needed skills to effectively govern? Some of us know you all want to dictate to the community how things are going to be. That is not democracy, that is not engaging, that is not transparent. Stop trying to hide from the people you serve. Stand up, be accountable, be transparent to the community that provides your livelihoods.
Do board members wish to make comments or ask questions? Director Simpson.
They left you with a bunch of incapable people.
Okay, so I really enjoyed the first community session that I attended with, I think, around safety, and I did, find that really valuable to hear from, a variety of people who happen to be sitting at my table. And I'm wondering if, because PACE is that sort of mix of like wanting that type of open dialogue and like wanting to look at, information and reports. I'm wondering if it could be like scheduled, but like every other month, like 1 month is more of like the meeting where we might want to look at certain data, information, statistics, and the next month then would be a community session. So it'd still meet every it'd still meet every month, but it would just alternate. I'm just wondering if that would be, and I'm kind of directing it to Director Leonard just because you've, kind of taken that on as your charge.
Go ahead, Director Leonard.
Yeah, I would actually agree with you. I do have concerns. I mean, first of all, it has just come up, so I'm a little bit, and I'm not going to be on the board, so I feel really sort of, talk about a lame duck kind of position, but I do agree with you on that. And I think the open structure, and I actually do know that the goal was down the road to open it up to other topics. And the input has been used to start to influence some of the decision-making that we've been doing. We're just at the early stages of this. I was hoping that be past this point a long time ago, but we were not, so not going to cry over spilled milk here. But yeah, I still strongly suggest that we have a monthly meeting, and I think there's enough information that we can cover. And I actually really, I want to add this, and it's just me thinking off the top of my head, to be honest with you, but both Director Ferguson and I had a chance to talk about some other ideas that could be put into PACE. I can't go over those right now. I don't want to just throw things out there and pretend I know what I'm talking about. I'll be honest with you. We were talked about it. It'll be something we would have to discuss. But there is more that can be brought forward on both every month kind of situations. So, and I guess I want to leave it there. Yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Sorry, go ahead.
Any follow-up? Director Somber.
Thank you, President Herndon. I do worry about having the committee only be called by the chair. I'm also a little uneasy about us making decisions before the organizational meeting. I understand why it was presented before, but I really would like our new colleagues on the board to have input into that. And I think I like the community engagement structure and think it would be great to expand it. I think we're just, I don't know, maybe postpone the decision so that we can have more engagement with community too about what they would like to see. So I'm not ready to make a decision on this tonight.
Director Simpson.
So I wasn't going to say anything else. Okay. I mean, I guess I think that sort of, I guess I will say one thing. So the reason I think it's important to have it scheduled every month, however that ends up looking, but just to take my idea as an example, like if it was, like a committee 1 month, community session the next, it just would help for family planning and life, just if you know, if you know this meeting is coming and it's important to you, you're going to schedule yourself versus at the call of the chair. So that would be the only thing I'd add to that.
Director Ferguson?
If I could be transparent, thank you, Madam Chair. If I can be transparent, I don't like the way I feel right now. And the reason for that is because I'm a member of the PACE committee. And this was not something that was brought to the PACE committee. I feel like something where we're recommending changes to the structure of the committee should be something that should organically come from the people that currently serve on PACE. That's the first problem I have with this. The second problem that I have with this is I think we all know that we are a district that has to engage the work of rebuilding the trust with the community that we're here to serve. And it just doesn't present well for us to be limiting to or reducing to every other month or whenever the chair decides to call a meeting. It just doesn't seem appropriate for us to be making that type of a recommendation in the current climate. Actually, I feel that if any conversation should be going on around PACE, the conversation should revolve around how do we do what we've done and add on top of that, because we actually need our parents and our community to build the trust back. We can't do it without them. And so I think it's unconscionable that we're even having this discussion, personally.
Director Gokul Gandhi.
I know that we've been talking about, I understand, why this was brought, and I think what we're hearing is a little bit more time needed. I think what would be helpful is just with the long-range facilities master plan, a new superintendent, the organizational and instructional audit, perhaps we add thinking about the committee structure as a year-long conversation so that there is time for different scenario planning, for different options, more input and public comment on what, I still think we need to fundamentally reimagine committees. Like, I don't think it's working in the structure that we have. I think that we lack cohesion. I think there's not a thematic approach. I think sometimes we've talked about this even in the brainstorming we did for the board's goal setting, that we're sort of a little bit all over the place in a lot of the committees because we have so many data sets that come to us. There's just not this tracking of what are we talking about, why are we talking about it, and then what happens if we want to move direction. So I think we can sort of, I don't know what the exact motion would be, but I think not, kicking this down the road or rewording it to say, let's take an intentional calendar year to talk about what new committees look like and have an intentional planning process around that.
Absolutely. This can be tabled also. The intention was with the naming of the chairs and everything, that not have anything taken away from anybody, and to try to capitalize on some of those things that we've heard from community, like not doing as much Robert's rules, but definitely understand the need to pull it back. I know that Dr. Casalius also has some really good thoughts about community engagement structures that are going to be more in-depth and district-wide. If you'd like to share a little bit about that too, it would be great.
I can certainly, Madam President Herndon and members, Brenda Casalius, Superintendent, I'm not ready to unfold my entire reorganization, but one position that we will be adding is the Chief of Family and Community Engagement and Partnerships. It'll be a new office. It'll be a new office within the district, and we will be more intentionally engaging our parent coordinators that are in our schools to support community engagement out into the community, and hoping that board members will also do that by district on monthly basis. And then those meetings will go up. We'd also have a specific district parent advisory for our students with special needs, as well as a special district advisory for our students who are EL learners or multilingual learners. So we would have two specific committees, parent committees, that would lead up to a larger district parent advisory. So this structure I'll share with you if you'd like in May. And I think it's just a very good structure that gets us out in the community every month and on actionable items that both feed up, and then we can share information also and get responses and feedback from the community. So I'll share that in May when I share how my leadership structure will look on my cabinet and how we will be moving forward around community engagement and getting not only student voice, which we talked about earlier, but also our community and our parents.
Okay, so just a quick follow-up from Mike. So then I will move to table the item.
We have more.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I mean, you can still take commentaries.
Oh,
Director
I was
Garcia.
going to move to table the
Okay.
item.
And second?
If Director Gokul Gandhi's comment is the motion, then I will second.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
On Director Gokul Gandhi's motion to table this item, Director Ferguson.
Aye.
Director Garcia.
Aye.
Director Gokul Gandhi.
Aye.
Director Jackson.
Aye.
Director Leonard.
Aye.
Director O'Halloran.
Aye.
Director Simpson.
Aye.
Director Zomber.
Aye.
President Herndon.
Aye.
That's 9 ayes, the motion passes.
Madam Secretary, what is the next item?
Item 5 is action on monthly finance matters, authorization to make purchases, report on change orders in excess of $25,000, report on revenues and expenditures, report on contracts under $50,000, and cumulative total report, report on monthly grant awards, acceptance of donations. The recommendation is that the board authorize the purchases and accept the donations as listed in the attachments, with appropriate acknowledgement to be made on behalf of the board.
Would the administration please present the item?
President Herndon and members of the board, Dr. Brenda Cassellius, Superintendent. And for this item, the administration is requesting your approval of the monthly finance matters. Janine Adamczyk is here with me to address any questions you may have regarding this item.
Do we have any speaker slips?
Not.
No. Okay. Do members of the board wish to make comments or ask questions? Seeing none, what is the pleasure of the board? Director Garcia.
I move to approve the monthly finance matters before us.
Second.
Second by Director Gokul Gandhi. If there's no further discussion, the secretary will please call the roll.
Director Garcia's motion to approve the administration's recommendations. Director Ferguson.
Aye.
Director Garcia.
Aye.
Director Gokul Gandhi.
Aye.
Director Jackson.
Aye.
Director Leonard.
Aye.
Director O'Halloran.
Aye.
Director Seamson.
Aye.
Director Zomber.
Aye.
President Herndon.
Aye.
That's 9 ayes. The motion passes.
Madam Secretary, what is the next item?
Item 6 is action on the award of professional services contracts. The recommendation is that the board authorize the professional services contracts as set forth in the attachments to this item.
Would the administration please present this item?
President Herndon and members of the board, Dr. Brenda Cassellius, Superintendent. This evening, we're asking your approval of the professional services contracts before you. Janine Adamczyk is with me, and this is to assist with any questions that you may have regarding this item.
Madam Secretary, do we have any speaker slips on this item?
We do not.
Do board members wish to make comments or ask questions? What is the pleasure of the,
Okay. Okay.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Okay, all right, I'll make the motion. I move we make approval on the award of professional services contracts.
okay.
But now you have to second it.
I'll
Okay.
second her
Got it
motion
done.
gladly.
Okay, Madam Secretary, if there's no further discussion, please call the roll.
On Director Gokul Gandhi's motion to award the professional services contracts, Director Ferguson.
Aye.
Director Garcia.
Aye.
Director Gokul Gandhi.
Aye.
Director Jackson.
Aye.
Director Leonard.
Aye.
Director O'Halloran.
Aye.
Director Seamson.
Aye.
Director Zomber.
Aye.
President Herndon.
Aye.
That's 9 ayes. The motion passes.
Madam Secretary, what is the next item?
Item 7 is action on the award of exception to bid contracts. The recommendation is that the board authorize the exception to bid contracts as set forth in the attachments to this item.
Would administration please present this item?
President Herndon and members of the board, Dr. Brenda Cassellius, Superintendent, we're asking your approval of this month's exception to bid contracts. Janine Adamczyk is here with me to assist with any questions you may have regarding this item.
Madam Secretary, do we have any speaker slips?
We do not.
Do we have any questions by any of the members? Director Garcia.
I move to approve the award of exceptions to bid contracts as recommended by administration.
Second.
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 If there are no further discussion, Madam Secretary, it has been motioned and second. Please call the roll.
On Director Garcia's motion to approve the award of the exception to bid contracts as attached, Director Ferguson. Director Garcia.
Aye.
Director Gokul Gandhi.
Aye.
Director Jackson.
Aye.
Director Leonard.
Aye.
Director O'Halloran.
Aye.
Director Seamson.
Aye.
Director Zomber.
Aye.
President Herndon.
Aye.
That's 9 ayes. The motion passes.
Madam Secretary, what is the next item, please?
Item 8 is action on monthly facilities matters, FMS award of construction and professional services contracts recommendation. The recommendation is that the board approve the attached construction and professional services contracts.
Would administration please present this item?
President Herndon and members of the board, Dr. Brenda Cassellius, Superintendent, we're asking for approval of this month's facilities matters before you and pertain to construction and professional contracts. I have with me is Michelle Lenski to address any questions you have concerning this item.
Madam Secretary, do we have any slips?
We do not.
Do board members wish to make comments or ask questions? What is the pleasure of the board with respect to this item? Director Leonard.
I move that we accept the action on monthly facilities matters as presented by the administration.
Director Garcia.
I second that.
If there's no further discussion, the secretary please call the roll.
On Director Leonard's motion to approve the monthly facilities matters as attached, Director Ferguson. Aye. Director Garcia.
Aye.
Director Gokul Gandhi.
Aye.
Director Jackson.
Aye.
Director Leonard.
Aye.
Director O'Halloran.
Aye.
Director Seamson.
Aye.
Director Zomber.
Aye.
President Herndon.
Aye.
That's 9 ayes, the motion passes.
Madam Secretary, what is the next item?
Madam Chair, we are back to the items that were previously deferred.
Madam Secretary, would you remind us of those items, please?
There were 3 items deferred: consideration of and action on the employment agreement with Dr. Tina Owen Moore for the position of Board Clerk, Chief Officer, Office of Board Governance; action to discharge the Committee on Accountability, Finance, and Personnel from further consideration of Resolution 2425R-011 by Director Zomber on exploring litigation to hold paint companies liable for lead paint remediation costs and to give immediate consideration to the item; and consideration of and possible action on a settlement agreement. The recommendation is that these items be considered in closed session.
The chair will accept a motion to consider these items in closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.81(1)(g) for the purpose of conferring with legal counsel for the board who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the board with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved. 19.85(1)(c) for the purpose of considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the board has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. 19.85(1)(e), deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or collective bargaining purposes require a closed session. Does anyone so move? Director O'Halloran.
I move that we retire to closed session pursuant to state law.
And we need a second. Director Gokul Gandhi.
Second.
If there's no discussion, the secretary please call the roll.
On Director O'Halloran's motion to retire to closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.85, parent 1, parent C, parent E, and parent G, Director Ferguson. Aye. Director Garcia.
Aye.
Director Gokul Gandhi.
Aye.
Director Jackson.
Aye.
Director Leonard.
Aye.
Director O'Halloran.
Aye.
Director Seamson.
Aye.
Director Zomber.
Aye.
President Herndon.
Aye.
That's 9 ayes, the motion passes.
Madam Secretary, please note the time.
The board may return from closed session to take actions on items.
Director Leonard, 1992. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
On Director O'Halloran's motion to approve the employment contract with Dr. Tina Owen Moore, Director Ferguson,
Aye.
Director Garcia,
Aye.
Director Gokul Gandhi,
Aye.
Director Jackson,
Emphatically aye.
Director Leonard,
Aye.
Director O'Halloran,
Aye.
Director Simpson,
Aye.
Director Zomber,
Aye.
President Herndon.
Aye.
That's 9 ayes, the motion passes. Thank you.
Madam Secretary, are there any other items of business?
Thank you.
Congratulations.
There's one more item that you were going to bring forward.
Okay. With respect to the settlement agreement, what is the pleasure of the board? Director Zomber.
Thank you, President Herndon. I move to approve the settlement agreement as discussed in executive session.
A second, please. Director O'Halloran.
Second.
If there's no further discussion, the secretary will please call the roll.
On Director Zomber's motion to approve the settlement agreement as discussed in executive session, Director Ferguson,
Abstain.
Director Garcia,
Aye.
Director Gokul Gandhi,
Aye.
Director Jackson,
Aye.
Director Leonard,
Aye.
Director O'Halloran,
Aye.
Director Simpson,
Aye.
Director Zomber,
Aye.
President Herndon.
Aye.
That's 8 ayes and 1 abstain. The motion passes.
Madam Secretary, are there any other items on our agenda?
Madam President, that was the last item on our agenda.
There being no further business before this board, this meeting is adjourned.